Hello, all my dear students. I hope you all are doing well. I'm Amit Ajmani, your English faculty, and I welcome you all to Sri Jendra Rank Zone classes. Let us continue with the second chapter, that is the sentence types, active and passive voice, and direct and indirect speech. Till now, we have studied about the basic parts of a sentence. Then we studied about the various types of sentences. Total 8 type of sentences were there based on their structure and function. We have studied them all, understood them all. In the previous class, we discussed about the active and passive voice. What are the various rules in order to convert active voice into passive and in order to convert passive voice into active voice, right? So today in this particular lecture, we will be discussing the remaining part of this chapter, that is the direct and indirect speech. Now, what exactly are direct and indirect speech? Let us try to understand. Whenever we are reporting the words of a speaker, we can do it in these two ways. One is the direct speech and another is the indirect speech, which is also called reported speech. In direct speech, what exactly we are doing? We are quoting the actual words spoken by the speaker. So when we are quoting the actual words of the speaker, that is called direct speech. But if we are reporting the crux of what exactly was said, when we are reporting what was said by the speaker without quoting his exact words, this is called indirect or reported speech. Now these direct and indirect speeches are used in lot many areas. Let us see where exactly direct speech is used. Direct speech, as we have already mentioned, it is used to convey the exact words of the speaker. It is used to supplement and clarify the information that is being reported. This direct speech is used in eyewitness accounts in the news stories. Then we use the direct speech in inserting the dialogues in narratives and stories which define characters. It also brings in variety and it creates interest in the reading of the story or the novel or the play, because a narrative without dialogues often become dull and boring. That is why direct words are often quoted in between. Then direct speech is used in reporting the minutes of the meeting, because whatever are the most important, most significant points that have been made in that particular meeting, they must be stated in direct speech, right? Next, we use direct speech while reporting speeches, because there we use the direct quotes. We include these direct quotes to convey the essence of the speaker's message. In the scripts of plays and films, there also we use direct speech. So these are a few uses of direct speech, why direct speech becomes important, and where exactly it is used. Now, we'll be relating where we use the indirect or the reported speech. There are so many times when, if the entire conversation is made in direct speech to anyone, it becomes tiring and at times it is almost impossible to do it. So over there we have to use indirect or the reported speech. It is also used to avoid lengthy and confusing documentation, because at times we can convey the actual net conclusion of the document or the conversation in a better way in our own words. At times it is used to bring in clarity and preciseness to the reporting. And most of the personal or office interactions, they also use this indirect or the reported speech to convey the messages or conversations with others. Generally, the reports of speeches during any annual general meeting of a company or any other particular meeting, they are also noted in mostly indirect speech. The newspaper reports, they also use the indirect speech format most often in order to report who said what and where. So rather than quoting the exact words, the words are just manipulated in such a way that it gives clarity, it gives preciseness, and it often it actually concises the lengthy conversations. So these were the few uses of direct and indirect speeches. Let us now try to relate what exactly these are, and we'll be doing it with the help of a few examples. Let us take the first example. She said, comma, inverted comma, I am busy tomorrow. Now this is a direct speech, and in inverted commas we have actually written whatever she actually has said, that I am busy tomorrow. This I represents the subject she, right? So here, because we are quoting the actual words said by her, that is why it is direct speech. But if we would like to say the same thing indirectly, we could have written, she said that she was busy the next day. Now this is the indirect speech, because this is what we are conveying to the listener about what she said. Now we have to note the changes in the sentence when the direct speech has been changed into indirect speech. First of all, quite importantly, we have seen these inverted commas being used in the direct speech. And why they are used? They are used to mark off the exact words of the speaker, but no such inverted commas are used in the indirect or reported speech. Secondly, the conjunction that has been added in the indirect speech, which was originally not there in the direct speech. Third thing is the pronoun I, which was there in the inverted commas standing for she, has been actually converted into she. Similarly, the verb am has been converted into was, right? The word tomorrow has been converted into the next day. So these are a few changes that we can observe. Let us see one by one. The conjunction that is used before the indirect statement. The pronoun I is used to she. The verb am is changed to was. And the adverb tomorrow is changed to the next day. So these are a few changes we observed while we converted a direct speech into indirect. So how we are changing it? There must be some rules. Let us go through the rules for changing direct speech into indirect speech. Whenever we are making such conversion, certain rules are to be followed. Let us see all the rules one by one. These rules are very, very important. So please try to focus on the rules, and please make sure that you learn the rules one by one. Now, first of all, we have to actually observe that before the inverted comma, what exactly is the form of the verb used. The verb which is used before the inverted comma is called the reporting verb or the principal verb, right? For example, in the above example, we have seen she said. Now, after this inverted comma and the direct words are including, so this said is the reporting verb or the principal verb. We have to see in which actual form it is. If it is in past tense, rules are different. If it is in present tense, she says. Or if it is in future tense, she will say, then the rules will be different. So the first thing that we need to relate in any conversion of direct speech into indirect speech, we need to see the tense of the reporting or the principal verb. If the reporting or the principal verb is in past tense, then simply all the present tenses of the direct words are changed into their corresponding past tenses. Now, what is meant by corresponding? It means that simple present will be changed to simple past, present continuous will be changed to past continuous, present perfect will be changed to past perfect, and so on. Let us see with the help of examples. Again, I am repeating the fact that first of all, we need to relate the tense of the reporting or principal verb. If it is in the past tense, she said, she informed, she advised, she asked, all these are past forms. So if it is in the past tense, then we will apply this rule of changing all the present tenses of the direct words into the corresponding past tenses. Let us see the rules, how we use it in direct speech and how we are going to use them in indirect speech. The first rule says that the simple present will change into simple past. For example, I always drink coffee, she said. Now the reporting verb is past tense, right? So now when we are going to convert it into indirect speech, we will write she said, then we will remove the comma and replace it with that. She said that, remove the inverted commas and convert the simple present into simple past. It was I always drink coffee. The I pronoun will be changed to she. She always drank coffee. So drink, simple present, has been converted into simple past. That is the second form of the verb. Similarly, if we have present continuous, it will be changed to past continuous. For example, I am reading a book, he explained. So first of all, we will write he explained in the indirect speech. This comma will be removed and will be replaced by that. He explained that. Now, the pronoun I will be replicated with. It will be replaced with he, and am reading will be converted into was reading. So the full sentence will become he explained that he was reading a book. No inverted commas. Got it? Third example is the present perfect changes to corresponding, that is past perfect. For example, she said, comma, inverted comma, he has finished his work, inverted comma closed. The reporting verb is in past tense, so we'll write she said as it is. The comma will be replaced by that. She said that he, third person remains he, has finished his work will be converted into had finished his work. So has will be replaced with had. Clear? Now, if we are having present perfect continuous tense in the direct speech, then it will be converted into past perfect continuous. For example, he told me, comma, inverted comma, I have been to Spain. Right? So now, he told me will be written as it is, comma will be replaced by that, I will be replaced by he, and have been will be converted into had been. And the sentence will become, he told me that he had been to Spain. Right? Next, if it is simple past now, that will be converted to one higher. That is, it will be converted into past perfect. For example, Bill arrived on Saturday, he said. So we'll be starting up with he said, comma is replaced with that. Bill, same. Arrived will be replaced by had arrived on Saturday. So he said that Bill had arrived on Saturday. Clear? Let us see the next rule. The past perfect in itself is higher form, so it remains past perfect. Let us see the example. I had just turned out the light, he explained. So it will be converted into indirect speech like he explained that he had just turned out the light. So had just turned remains the same. Next rule says that past continuous changes to past perfect continuous, one higher. For example, we were living in Paris, they told me. So they told me, comma will be replaced by that. They told me that, we will be converted to they, and were living will be converted into had been living. So they told me that they had been living in Paris. Fine. So these are all actually related to past tenses. When we talk about the future, then the future changes to present conditional. For example, I will be in Geneva on Monday, he said. So he said that he, now will be is converted into would be, past form. He would be in Geneva on Monday. If we are using the future continuous, it will change into conditional continuous. For example, she said, I will be using the car next Friday. The indirect of this particular direct speech will be, she said that she would be using the car next Friday. So these are all the set of rules that we not only need to understand, but we need to remember. And the simple concept is, whatever is in direct speech in the inverted comma, if it is present, then it is converted into corresponding past. Simple present will be converted into simple past. Present continuous will be converted into past continuous. Present perfect will be converted into past perfect. Present perfect continuous will be converted into past perfect continuous. If the direct speech is in past tense, it will be converted into higher past. If it is simple past, it will be converted into past perfect. If it is past continuous, it will be converted into past perfect continuous. If it is perfect or perfect continuous, they will remain the same, right? And if we have future, it will be converted into either present conditional or the conditional continuous. Please go through all the examples again and try to understand each one of them. They are very, very important, these rules, right? So this is how we change whenever we are actually converting a direct speech into indirect speech. However, there are many exceptions to it. Now, these exceptions are very, very important. Why? Because if we do not remember these exceptions and we convert as per the above rules, it will be considered wrong, obviously. Now, what are these exceptions? Let us try to relate one by one. If the reported speech, that is, the words in the inverted commas, they contain a universal fact or a scientific truth, then in that case, we do not change the tense of the verb, even though the reporting verb is in the past tense, because it is a universal fact. It is a scientific truth, right? For example, he said honesty is the best policy. This is in the direct speech. The reporting verb is said, which is in past tense. So as per the rules above, this is in the inverted commas present should be converted into past, but because this whole sentence is a universal fact, honesty is the best policy, so we will not change the tense. We cannot say that honesty was the best policy and nowadays it is not. No, it is a universal fact. So we will just convert it into indirect by writing the same tense. He said that, the comma is replaced with this that, inverted commas are removed, and we will continue honesty is the best policy. Let us take another example. The teacher said, comma, inverted comma, the earth revolves around the sun. Now this is a direct speech. And the reporting verb is in past tense. So as per the rules discussed above, this present tense revolves should be converted into past tense as per our understanding of the rules. But we need to relate what exactly is the actual sentence given. And this actual sentence is once again universal truth that the earth revolves around the sun. It's not that like it initially revolved around the sun and now it doesn't. So we cannot change the tense, and while converting into the indirect speech, what we are going to write is the teacher said, this comma is removed and that is used. Inverted commas are just taken away. The earth revolves around the sun without changing the tense of the direct or the reported speech. Got it? So whenever there is a universal fact, whenever there is a scientific truth, he said sun rises in the east. So it still rises in the east and it will rise in the east only. It is a universal truth. We cannot change it. That he said the sun rose in the east and now it doesn't. So we have to just keep the tense same. Okay. Now there is a second exception also. What is that? If a statement is still relevant, then it is optional. We can choose whether to change the original tense or not. For example, Sheila said, French is easy to learn. Now, this is direct speech. This is what Sheila said. Now, this is not a universal truth. French is easy to learn. It depends on our own intelligence whether we find the statement relevant or not. And depending upon that, it depends on us whether we want to change the tense or not. So there are two options we can write. Sheila said that French is easy to learn. We'll make it remain like that. Or Sheila said that French was easy to learn, because this is the opinion of Sheila, not us. Maybe it was relevant some time back, but now it is not relevant, or for us it is not relevant. So these type of facts, this basically depends upon the judgment of the writer whether you want to change the tense or not. Both are acceptable, both are correct, right? Now, if the reporting verb is in the present tense, in that case, the tenses of the direct speech do not change. For example, he says I like classical music. Now here we have got the reporting verb says, which is in present tense. So this is the very first thing that you need to observe in a sentence while you are doing direct indirect, that you need to observe what is the tense of the reporting verb. If it was past tense that we have seen till now, then we have applied the rules as stated above, already discussed. But if it is in present tense, the reporting verb we are saying, right? So in that case, now whatever the verb or the tense is here in the direct speech, we do not change the tense. Words may change, verb may change, but the tense remains the same. For example, in this sentence, when we will convert it into indirect speech, what we will write? He says he likes classical music. The tense remains present. Another example, Rohit says, I watched the movie at night. Says again is a reporting verb in present tense. So if it is in present tense, then whatever tense is there in the inverted comma, we will not change the tense. It is past tense in the inverted comma, simple past, we'll keep it simple past. So the indirect will be, Rohit says he watched a movie at night. Clear? Right? Now let us see the next rule. In the direct speech, the words expressing nearness in time or place, they are generally changed into words expressing distance. For example, if we have any of these words in the direct speech, they will be changed into these. Here has to be converted into there. Here represents the nearness in place. There represents distance in place. Today will be converted into that day. Yesterday is converted into the day before, or it may be the previous day. We can also write the previous day. Tomorrow is converted into the next day. Next week is converted into the following week. Next month is converted into the following month. If we are having the word now in the direct speech, in the indirect speech, we will convert it and replace it with then. Ago is replaced with before. Does is replaced with so. Last night is replaced with the night before, or again the previous night. This is replaced with that. These will replaced with those. Come will be replaced with go. So the words which represent nearness in time or place in the direct speech are converted with the words. They are replaced with the words which represent distance. Here, this is a very important rule, and there are many times that students tend to forget converting these. You have to make sure that you remember. Now the next rule says that the pronouns of the direct speech are generally changed from first person and second person to the third person in the indirect speech. And if it is already third person, that remains in the third person only. For example, let us say if it is a first person pronoun in the direct speech, like Rahul says, I am going to Thailand. This is a direct speech and Rahul is using I for him. But if we are using the sentence of Rahul in the reported speech, then what we will say? Rahul says that he is going to Thailand. I is converted into he, depending upon the subject. He is a male. Similarly, if it is a female, Priya says, I will leave soon. So now we will convert I into she. Priya said that she will leave soon. Correct? It should be she says because it is says, present tense. So Priya says she will leave soon. I is converted into she. So this is how we convert the first pronouns. If we have got second person pronouns, then we are going to change them to, but according to the nouns or pronouns coming after the reporting verb. For example, I said to Sachin, you will have to play cricket. Now when we'll be converting this into indirect, what we are going to use? I said to Sachin. Now because we are talking to Sachin who is a male, you will be converted into he. I said to Sachin that he would have to play cricket, right? But if it is generalized form that the teacher said to you, you are wrong, then it is you only. Teacher said to you that you were wrong, you remains you. Clear? Now if we talk about the third person pronouns of the direct speech, then in that case, if it is in the nominative case, that is as the subject, they will remain unchanged when they are converted into indirect. Let us try to understand with the help of example. Kapil said to me, they will win. Here, they is used in the nominative case, so it will not change. Kapil said to me that they would win. Next example. He said they will accompany us to the monastery. So while making the indirect, this they will remain the same. He said that they would accompany them to the monastery. The us has been changed into them, but the they in the subjective nominative case, it remains the same. Correct? Now, the pronouns of the direct speech are changed where necessary so that their relations with the reporter and the hearer are indicated rather than the original speaker. This is quite important. Please try to understand it. He said to me, I don't believe you. Now he is saying it to me. So here in the direct words, I is representing he and this you is representing me. So this is how we are going to change in the indirect form that he said to me that he didn't believe me. Right? Because here this you is actually representing me. So this we have to remember. We don't have to blindly see that you is remaining the same, you will not be converted. We have to relate. Next example. She said to him, I don't like you. Here, this I is again related to she and this you is related to him because she is saying it to him. So now when we are going to convert it into indirect, what we are going to write? She said to him that she didn't like him. This I is converted into she and this you is converted into him. Getting my point? Let us try to relate one more example. I said to him, I don't trust you. So this I is representing this I only and this you is representing him. So when we'll be converting it into indirect, what we are going to write? I said to him that I didn't trust him. So now I hope that you must have actually understood the basic idea as to how the pronouns are converted and replaced when we are converting a sentence from direct speech to indirect speech. Obviously, you need to go through all these rules minimum 2 times to understand that better. right? One more example is given. Let us do that also. I said to you, I don't have anything for you. I is standing for I only, and this you is standing for you only. So quite simple to do. We don't have to change anything. So I said to you that I didn't have anything for you. Here you is remained as you only. Clear? So this is the change in the pronouns. Now let us see how modals are changed in indirect speech. We'll relate the rules, then we'll see the examples in direct and indirect. Can is changed into could, may is changed into might, must is changed into had to. Similarly, shall is changed into should, right? Can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would. This is what we do. But if we already have would, should, ought to, and might in the direct itself only, then we do not have to change it during the conversion because they are already in their past form, right? Let us see examples. He said, I can drive a car. This can will be converted into could. So the indirect speech will be he said he could drive a car. Next sentence, he said I may buy a computer. This may will be converted into might. He said that he might buy a computer. He said I must work hard. This must will be replaced by had to. He said that he had to work hard, right? Now, if we already have these past forms, then we are not going to change this. Let us see a few examples. First example is, they said we would apply for a visa. Now, this would remains would only in the indirect speech. They said that they would apply for a visa. Next sentence, he said, I could run faster. This is the direct speech. In indirect, this could remains could. He said that he could run faster. No change in this modal. Next is, he said, I should avail the opportunity. Now in indirect, this should remains should. He said that he should avail the opportunity. Next is, he said to me, you ought to work for him. Again, this ought to is not going to be changed. You said to me that I ought to wait for him. So if they are already used in their past forms, we do not convert them again, right? So this is related to the change in modals. Now, let us come to the rules regarding the change for imperative sentences from direct to indirect. Now, these are quite important. Please focus on these. Now, we know that imperative sentences, we have got what? Commands, orders, advices, suggestions, requests, right? So, in that case, what are the rules following the changes? In reporting commands or advices or suggestions or requests, here the indirect speech begins with a verb which expresses this sentiment which is indicated in the sentence. For example, the order or command or the advice or like these. So we have to use a verb which express these sentiments. Then this verb is followed by the personal object and the to infinitive. We'll see with the help of examples, don't worry. Just going through the rules at the moment. If we are going to take the negative imperative sentences, then don't or do not, which are used in the direct words, they are substituted by not to. And if there are imperative sentences regarding any suggestion or advice, which usually start with the word let, and they express any kind of proposal or suggestion, then said should be changed to proposed to or suggested to, because it is a proposal or a suggestion. Now, let us see examples of each one of these. First example, the master said to the servant, finish the work at once. Now here the master is indirectly ordering the servant. So this said to the servant is replaced with ordered the servant. The master ordered the servant to finish the work at once. We have used this to, infinitive to. Another example, the teacher said to the student, please study properly. The word please is expressing a request. So this said to is now replaced with requested. The teacher requested the students. Again, we will write the infinitive to study properly. Right? Next example. The father said to his son, work hard for success in life. Now this is a suggestion and advice. So this said to is replaced with advised or suggested. Father advised his son. Father suggested his son. Again this infinitive to is being added. The father advised his son to work hard for success in life. Right? So these are how we are going to convert the imperative sentences of direct speech into indirect speech. Clear? Next, coming up with changing the interrogative sentences from direct to indirect. Here, because it has been interrogation being made, so the word said to, the reporting verb, it changes to asked or demanded or inquired in the indirect speech, depending upon, of course, what type of sentence it was. And when the question in the reported speech begins with any helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, etc., then the reporting verb is followed by if or whether. Let us try to understand with examples to have a better view of it. Like Sania asked, are you coming with them? Right. So Sania asked, because it is starting with this helping verb is, am, are, was, were, do, does, then we will write if I was coming with them. Clear? So this is what the helping verbs will be related like. Let us see the other rules first, then we'll see few more examples. Now, if a sentence starts with interrogative pronoun or an adjective or an interrogative adverb like what, whom, where, why, how, which. Now it is not starting with is, am, are, do, does, etc. It is starting with all these words. Then the same word is used to introduce the question in the indirect speech. Indirectly, we can say that now the question word becomes the joining word instead of that, if or whether. Now we don't use this that, if or whether. This if or whether is used when the question in the inverted comma start with is, am, are, was, were, are, do, does, etc. But if the question in the inverted commas, that is the direct reporting verb, then it starts with what, whom, where, why, how, which, then we do not use this if or whether. Right? Next rule says that the interrogative sentence is converted in assertive sentence. And for that, we place the subject before the verb and before the verb. After placing it, we remove this question mark with full stop, because it has to be converted into assertive sentence, right? No indirect speech is in interrogative. The last rule says that in all interrogative sentences, if the reporting verb is say or say to or says to, will say to, said or said to, then in indirect speech it will be changed to ask or asks, will ask or asked, depending upon the tense of the reporting verb. Now, understanding all these rules with the help of examples, let us try to relate. First, we have already seen. Let us see the second. Have you anything to say on behalf of the accused? Said the judge to the lawyer. So now the judge is actually inquiring something. So the judge inquired of the lawyer, or the judge asked the lawyer. We can use both of these because we are having this helping verb. So now we'll be using if he had anything to say on behalf of the accused. Let us see the next one. He said to me, what are you doing? So said to me is converted to asked me, because this question mark interrogation has to be removed, and because now the question is starting with what. So now we are not using any kind of if or whether. What we'll do is, he asked me what I was doing. This what remains the same. Similarly, the gentleman said, where is the market? It will be once again where remaining where, no if is used. The gentleman said, because it is a question mark, we have replaced the word said with asked. The gentleman asked where the market was. Clear? So this is how we convert the interrogative sentences from indirect speech, from direct speech to indirect speech. Clear? Now let us talk about the exclamatory sentences. Once again, exclamatory sentences will be converted into assertive sentences just like interrogative ones. The interjections will be removed. The exclamation marks will be removed and replaced with full stops. The WH words like what and when, they will be changed into adjectives. And very importantly, because in exclamatory sentences we are expressing our sentiments, our feelings, our emotions, our mood, so the changes will be dependent on the mood, the sentiment, the emotion of the sentence. Now how exactly they will be converted, let us try to relate. For example, if the mood in direct speech is sorrow in the reported speech, then when we are writing the indirect speech, we are going to use the verb explained with sorrow or explained with grief. We can also use exclaimed sorrowfully, or we can use cried out. Similarly, if the mood is of happiness in the reported speech, then we will use exclaimed with joy, or exclaimed with delight, or exclaimed joyfully, exclaimed delightfully, delightedly. If the mood in reported speech is surprise, then we will use the verb in indirect speech as exclaimed with surprise, or exclaimed with wonder, exclaimed with astonishment, or exclaimed surprisingly. Right? Let us try to understand these changes with the help of solved examples. The reporter said, alas, many lives have been lost due to tsunami. Now this alas is an expression of sorrow. So while converting into indirect speech, we will specify this emotion, that the reporter exclaimed sorrowfully, the reporter exclaimed sadly, the reporter exclaimed with sorrow, the reporter exclaimed with sadness, that many lives had been lost due to tsunami. Let us see the next example. The grandmother said, may you meet with success wherever you go. Now this is a kind of blessing given by the grandmother, the elder one. So we will express the same mood. The grandmother blessed her grandson that he should meet with success wherever he goes. So this is the blessing offered. Now why it is only grandson, not the granddaughter? It is in general terms that we are using it. Correct? Fine. Next example is the foreigner said, what a man Obama is. Now here, this is an exclamation, a feeling, a sentiment of wonder, surprise. So the same thing we are going to convey in the indirect speech, that the foreigner exclaimed in wonder that Obama was a great man. Clear? Now, if we are having any case of greetings like good morning, good afternoon, good evening, then in that case, the word said is changed to wished. For example, he said to me good morning. So this is actually the wish he is doing. He wished me good morning. This is how we are going to present it in the indirect speech. Now, wherever we have got these words may or may God, these are the blessings. So now, whenever we are writing the indirect speech, we'll write wished or prayed. For example, she said to her friend, may God grant you success in your examination. This is a wish. This is what she is praying for a friend. So that is what we are going to express in the indirect speech. She prayed or she wished that God might grant her friend success in her examination. Right? So this is all about how we are going to change the exclamatory sentences and the sentences with this may or may God or wishes, all these. And these are all the rules related to conversion of direct speech into indirect speech. Now, all these rules you need to relate, you need to go through, you need to understand. So many examples given in order to make you understand how these rules are going to be applied. And excuse me, guys. So, where was I? So, I was just telling you that you need to relate all these rules. You need to learn the applications. They are very important. Till now, we have been studying about the rules for changing the direct speech into indirect. Now let us see if the opposite is required from us. Now we will see how to change indirect to direct speech. Now, for changing indirect to direct, simply reverse all the rules that you have studied above. Right? You have to reverse all the rules. You have to apply them in the reverse order. For example, we have to use the reporting verb say or said to in its correct tense. We have to remove the conjunctions that, to, if, whether, etc. wherever they are required, and we have to insert now the quotation marks or the question marks or the exclamation marks or the full stops wherever it is required depending upon the sentence. Now we have to once again put a comma before the statement, and we have to put the statement in the inverted commas, and we have to write the first word of the statement with the capital alphabet. Now we have to change the past tense into present tense wherever the reporting verb is in past tense, because this is what opposite we have done while changing the direct into indirect. Similarly, we have to convert the past perfect either into its past tense or present perfect as required. We have to change the pronouns as per the context of the sentence. all these things have to be now restored back, reversed back to their normal sense. Let us see with the help of a few examples. He asked me. If it is asked me, now that means we have to put a question mark. And this has to be changed to said to me. He said to me. Now we'll put a comma and we will put these inverted commas. What I was doing. So the question will be, what are you doing? Right? Next example. He asked if that was his pen. Asked is converted into said and question mark will be put in the inverted commas. This if will be removed and we'll put the inverted commas. If this was his pen, was is converted into present form. Is this his pen means your. So the pronouns have to be changed. He said, is this your pen? Clear? Let us see few more examples of the same, converting indirect into direct. Rama ordered Arjun to go away. So this ordered is converted into said to. This to will be removed. So the direct will be Rama said to Arjun, go away. Next example. He requested him. So there must be the word please used now, because of which we must have used the word requested in the indirect. So in direct there must have been please. He requested him. To will be removed. To open the door for him. So he said to him, comma, inverted comma, please open the door for me. Next, he said to me that I am his best friend. So it will be converted into direct form as he said to me. That is removed and replaced with comma. Then we will use inverted commas. You are my best friend. Next is Seema said to her father that she would like to become a doctor. This is would. So the would in the indirect would have been would. Seema said to her father, comma, inverted comma, I would like to become a doctor. Right? So these are a few examples related to conversion of indirect speech into direct speech. To start with, what you should do is you should see these examples and other examples in the various books given and the books you are having, the material you are having, and you just after converting indirect into direct, you again convert these direct into indirect in order to relate both of them. And now since you know at the end of this lecture that conversion of indirect to direct is also required, so now when you will be doing this particular practice in your houses, then right from the very beginning, make sure that you have both the perspectives in your mind. For example, when you are studying the rules above of conversion of all these, the tenses from indirect to direct, or the interrogatives converting from direct to indirect, or the exclamatory from direct to indirect, make sure that you observe both the aspects. How you are converting direct into indirect, and after converting it into indirect, then again convert back into direct. Because while we were converting direct into indirect, we have seen so many rules. We have taken up so many examples. So the examples given for converting direct to indirect are much, much more as compared to the last topic of converting indirect into direct. So I want you people that while doing the first part of this chapter, that is direct indirect, then make sure that you have both the perspectives in your mind and you observe all the examples, all the sentences in both ways. That is going to help you out. Clear? So this is all about direct and indirect. And this is all about our quite lengthy second chapter, that is sentence types, active and passive voice, direct and indirect speech. We have done so many things in this. We started up with what exactly grammar is. We continued with the basic parts of the sentence. We studied about the subject, predicate, the direct, indirect objects, the object of the prepositions. We studied about the verbs and the various types of the verbs, transitive, intransitive, etc., etc. Total 6 types we had seen. Then we studied about the various phrases and the types of phrases. We studied about the complements and the types of complements. We studied about the clauses and the type of clauses. And after studying all these basic parts of the sentences, then we studied about the types of sentences. Depending upon their function, we have seen 4 types of sentences: the imperative sentences, the exclamatory sentences, the interrogative sentences, and the declarative sentences, right? And depending upon their structure, very importantly, we studied about the compound sentences, the simple sentences, the complex sentences, and the compound complex sentences, right? You need to relate about these sentences, especially the compound complex and compound complex. You need to have the basic idea of what exactly the dependent and independent clauses are, because that is what on the basis of which the complex compound and compound complex sentences were differentiated. Then we studied about the active passive, so many rules regarding it, right? How to convert active into passive and how to convert passive into active, right? And in today's lecture, we studied about direct and indirect speeches, where to use direct speech and why, where indirect speeches are used and why, how we are going to convert direct into indirect and indirect into direct. So many rules regarding it, very basic rules: how to remove comma or the inverted commas, what about the question marks, the interrogative sentences, various rules regarding it, how to remove the exclamation marks, how to convert the imperative sentences regarding the commands or the requests and the suggestions and the advices, right? How to relate the reporting verb and the tense of it, and how to convert the tenses in the inverted commas. So lot many rules, lot many concepts in this chapter which you need to understand and you need to retain in your mind. And for that, one simple advice is, make sure you understand and relate all the examples in depth. Do not just read the examples. Try to understand and try to teach it to yourself, that what exactly is being explained and how exactly you should go for that example. If you do it, then only you will be able to retain, because it's not practically possible to remember all these rules. You need to relate the applications of these rules, and once you do it, and then if you practice, then it becomes so normal in your practice that you remember them. This is what is required. Clear? Now, because we have got so many things in the chapter, especially the sentence types, depending upon the structure, complex, compound, and compound complex, especially the active, passive, and direct, indirect. So what we'll do is, you just go through this chapter, read and learn all these things, and in the next lecture, I'll take up the exercises based on this particular chapter, various questions that may be asked and how to attempt those questions, right? The various questions asked from you will be, you'll be given a few sentences, you have to categorize whether they are complex, simple, compound, or compound complex. You'll be given active voice, you have to convert it into passive. You'll be given sentences in passive voice, you have to convert it into active. You will be given direct, you have to convert it into indirect, and vice versa. You will be given indirect and you have to convert them into direct sentences. Got it? So this all I'll be taking up with lot many more examples in the next class. So get prepared. Be sure that you already have all the knowledge and learn all the rules, so that in the next class you should be able to take the full advantage of the practice exercise that we'll be doing based on all these topics. Got it? So get yourself ready to learn. I'll catch you up in the next class with the practice material related to this chapter. Till then, study hard, take care of yourself, stay happy, stay healthy. Have a great day. Thank you so much.